The House of Representatives advanced a resolution today to censure Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib for her pattern of anti-Semitic remarks following the brutal terrorist invasion of Israel last month. Now, Congresswoman Tlaib's rhetoric has increased in both intensity and extremism, leading to her recent social media post that President Biden supported the genocide of the Palestinian people. Joining me now to discuss this and more is Congressman Rich McCormick. He serves on 3 House committees, including the House Foreign Affairs Committee and the House Armed Services Committee. He represents the 6th Congressional District of Georgia. Congressman McCormick, welcome back to Washington Watch. Semper Fi.
Semper Fi. Good to be with you.
So you offered remarks on the House floor calling the censure of Congresswoman Tlaib, calling for it. Tell us why you feel so strongly that such a censure is warranted.
So we haven't voted on this yet. We will vote on it shortly, actually. First, we had to make sure that we didn't table it, and I'm happy that we didn't. I think we'll have bipartisan support because what she said goes far past the freedom of speech. I mean, look, I'm a Marine. I die for the right to give people the right to have freedom of speech. But just because you have freedom of speech doesn't mean you get to say anything you want from the floor or even from your personal account. When you are a representative of the people of the United States and the body decides that what you say is too egregious to withstand, you can be censured. That is not outside of anything that's happened historically. We check with the parliamentarian, we check with legal counsel, we check with intel to make sure that everything we said was factual and correct. We did our homework. What she has done is basically when she mentions the river to the sea, she knows darn well that she's talking about the existence of Israel, that Palestine should replace the existence of an entire people, an entire nation. When she starts talking about Israel bombing a hospital in the Gaza, she knew that was false, and yet she did it knowing it would incite violence towards Jews. We've had Jewish people carrying Israeli flags in America murdered. Let that sink in. You have hundreds of thousands of people all over the United States basically being hateful and threatening, and people have gotten beat up because of their heritage. And no, I'm not talking about Islamophobia. I'm talking about anti-Semitism. Now, I'm not saying that we should have anything that's against the average Palestinian. I think the average Palestinian has been absolutely abused by Hamas. I think we should speak openly against that as well. But right now, I have never, ever in my lifetime, and I look historic, I'm a big history buff, I've never seen the anti-Semitism that exists in the United States right now. It is as dangerous as anything I've seen, and the actions of Rashida Tlaib have actually encouraged that.
I would agree 100%. It's a warning sign of what is to come if we don't address it and stop it. I mean, we saw here in Washington, D.C. over the weekend, tens of thousands marching on the White House, pushing on the gates, yelling Allah Akbar, and using the same slogans that Rashida Tlaib used. Now, she says that her colleagues, and I'm assuming that includes you, are distorting, quote, and I quote her, distorting my positions in resolutions filled with obvious lies. What do you say to that?
If you look at who she's quoting, she's not quoting some peaceful movement. She's quoting a very violent, despicable movement. The quote that she did, the river from the sea, that is from Hamas. That is from terrorists. That has a very clear indication. When she says, "Oh, I'm just standing up for those people who are not able to get relief," that has nothing to do with the river to the sea. It's totally out of context. She knows it. We know it. We know where it came from. We know what it represents. It's a total lie and propagation for her to say it means anything else but that. It means from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea that the Jews shouldn't exist. They shouldn't have a nation. That's where that came from. That's where that phraseology came from. That the Palestinian country should be representing all that area. And she knows darn well that's exactly what it means.
So her statements are statements of support for a terrorist organization. That should not be tolerated by someone who is a member of Congress to publicly support the actions of a terrorist organization.
And it's not just pro-Hamas, it's anti-Israel. One of our most important allies worldwide, both strategically tactically, economically, the only democracy in that region, somebody who's friendly to us, somebody who have a vested interest in, somebody we helped establish in 1948 after the Holocaust. And now we just witnessed the second largest elimination of Jews since the Holocaust. And literally within 24 hours, she was despicable enough to talk anti-Israel slogans, anti-Israel statements, anti-Jewish, anti-Semitic, whatever you want to call it. She's been despicable in her rhetoric.
And that can only be seen as fueling the type of activities we saw on the streets here in D.C. over the weekend. Congressman McCormick, I want to thank you for joining us. Always great to see you. Thanks again for your service, both in the Marine Corps and to our country in Congress.
Hey, November 10th coming up. Marine Corps birthday. Don't forget
Happy birthday.
to thank your Marines.